Today, Richard and I are going to be installing an awning on a soffit. This particular soffit happens to be vinyl vented soffit, and I'm going to open it up while I'm talking, and Richard's going to assist with it's quite a process to do this, so it's good to have a helper, and you're going to need somebody to help you lift the awning into place eventually. Okay, this soffit is screwed in place, so I'm going to have to remove those screws. One thing to take into consideration with soffitting is that you have high spots and low spots. This is a flexible product. It's made out of vinyl. Sometimes it's made out of aluminum, and if it is, you got to be a lot more careful taking it out because it'll dent and you can't straighten it. Anyway, you'll notice that there's returns here going back to the house, and that's not always the case. Sometimes there's nothing here. But even with this return, you can't really attach the awning to this, because if you do, what will happen is you'll squish this and it looks horrible. And also it makes it really hard to put the awning up afterwards because the brackets will be not straight. Though. When you tighten it up, they won't stay straight. You'll see what I mean later. So what I'm going to do is on this piece here, I'm going to put a piece of 2x6 beside it, and we're going to drop it down to the level of this so that when we put our screws through, this will remain exactly the same, and you won't even be able to tell that there's backing or anything else behind it. Also, this is not attached very well. This awning is about 150 pounds, but more importantly, when the awning extends out, you've got a lot of leverage on the awning. So what we have to do is we're going to make sure that we put in some really solid fasteners to make sure that this is going to carry the load. Keep in mind there's going to be 5 of them, so it's not like this one piece has to hold everything. So we'll get started. First thing you want to do is open up the awning, and we're going to figure out where our brackets are going to go in the soffit so we know where to put our backing. So it's really important. The biggest load on this structure is going to be at the end and at the shoulder brackets. So you definitely want to have a mounting bracket somewhere in this area. You want to have one within at least 18 inches on this side of this shoulder bracket. And then you're going to want one in the center right here. And then you're going to want 2 more in the exact same location on the other side. Once we've done putting them up, you'll see what I mean once we put the awning in place. So we're going to go about roughly 1 foot in if we can. Okay, so Richard, we need a piece of 2x6 cut to 22.5 inches, and it's got to be notched out for the 2x4 there. We've just cut the 2x6, and we've notched out for the 2x4. I'm going to drill a hole in the top here, and I'm going to angle this back. That's just so I can put a screw through there and not split it open. Okay, so I'm just going to put this up in place. So put that screw into the hole that I made, and just now, can I have those angles, Richard? Or just one of them? Thank you. These are great little steel angles that you can buy at any hardware store. They're galvanized, so they're not going to rust. So we've put in a 2x6 and notched it to fit in place. More importantly, we've lowered the 2x6 so that it supports the soffit, and you'll see what I mean when I push on it. When I do this, it doesn't collapse. Over here, it will collapse. And what we want is when we put the awning bracket in place and bolt it in, it doesn't squish out the vinyl soffit. We are about to install the brackets which go onto the backing that we just put in. And one of the things we have to watch out for is there's a light right here. We don't want to install the awning in such a way that it blocks that light, because in future they may want to change the bulb, that sort of thing. So I measured it out. We're 9 inches. We're going to go 9 inches back. The other thing that we got to be careful of is that we don't install the awning so far forward that it's sitting out in the weather, because this overhang is going to act as a weather protector as well as a mounting surface. So we're going to make sure this thing is straight, and then we put in the second screw. Now, as you can see, we fastened it into the framing that we put in, and our soffit looks pristine. We don't want that squishing out. Straight. Now, a lot of times people want to use things like string lines, chalk lines, or even a laser if you have one. I don't, because this line here should be perfectly straight. So I'm measuring everything back from that line where it meets the gutter. So all of them will be exactly 5 inches from here back. And on the other plane going this way, we don't have much choice because the soffit is built the way it's built. And if it's really crooked, then we have a problem, but it shouldn't be. So that's why I don't bother using lasers and chalk lines or levels. Okay, one thing to consider here is that the ladder I'm standing on is a type 1A ladder, which is rated for 300 pounds. And that's really important because the awning itself is 150 pounds. You do not want to be standing on a residential rated ladder that's only good for 200 pounds because you'll exceed that and there's a good chance the ladder can collapse on you. So don't use cheap ladders. And the other thing is, you want to use GRK screws. If you don't know what those are, you might want to consult a professional to have them install it. But a GRK screw is rated for roughly 1,000 pounds per screw. And we've got 10 of them holding up this unit. Some of the older style screws, which are just regular lag bolts that are steel galvanized, they're only rated for about 300 pounds. And we used to use them all the time, but these are just much better. They also have a tip that self drills the holes. So they're a lot better. All right, it's in. Now we put our bolts in place. Do not let go of the awning before you put this bolt in place. You need a 13mm wrench to tighten this. Make sure these are good and tight so that nothing flexes. And you might need a second wrench above.